So looking at the comparison in scientific research and engineering research, they're similar in areas, but yet they have their own differences. In the scientific research, you look at developing that topic first and finding out what you're interested in along the way, and developing that testable question or the research question that you're going to work on. And you'll have to give one of those before the next session. We'll look at that later this morning. And then during that literature review, to find out more about that topic, more about the question, and that helps you then be able to design the experimentation that you're going, or testing that you're going to be doing. So once you've done that literature review, you've gotten the background information you need, then you can develop that plan for you, what materials you're going to need and how you're going to test it. And for that, the study of design is important. Once you've completed that and you've gotten the approvals that are necessary, then you start actually doing the test and collecting the data along the way. And part of with that study design, you need to know what kind of data you're going to be looking at. And again, it comes back to thinking about when you're looking at those research plans, are they only changing one variable? Are they changing 4 or 5 variables? Is this a good plan? And helping the students before they ever get started. The data collection is, if you don't know how you're going to analyze it, then that causes an issue. So you need to think about that ahead of time. Getting that data, again, so that you can frame it so that you can see the patterns. You can see the trends that end up developing in the data and whether or not it's significant, or you need to collect more data to be able to come up with a conclusion, to be able to interpret what's going on. And in most research, what ends up happening is once you've answered one question, you kind of go, that's what happened when I did this, wonder what will happen if I change another variable or do something else. And so it leads to a continuation, and that's why you're seeing a circle and not just a straight line, because it feeds upon itself. And I have a resource on this slide, and again, you will get these slides later to be able to look at and to be able to use this reference for you. The engineering process is a little bit different, and again, these are overviews. Pretty much the engineering process starts with what we call an ask, which is pretty much like finding that topic, but this time it's going to be looking at what a need is, or a problem that's out there. And as we're looking at that need and the problem, we have to think about what constraints come into our being able to work with it, or being able to solve that problem, or how that answer that we're looking for, the solution to the problem, has to fit within certain parameters in order to be successful. And so the constraints that you're coming up with are really important. Again, same as with the scientific method, you're going to be looking at doing some background research. You have to learn more about what we already know about this problem or about the need that you have, to see if we already have an answer to it, or if it still needs to be solved. And if it still needs to be solved, then you need to think about imagining, how can I solve the problem? What are some different ways that I can approach it? What are some different solutions that I can come up with? And then you end up coming on one solution that you want to develop. And that's when you plan how you're going to do that. You end up building a prototype or building a model, and then you have to test it, and it's successful. And once you do the testing, you have to think about, what is that method of measuring whether or not it's successful or not? Is it going to be within a certain percentage, or does it have to perform 100% all the time? What is my method of evaluation as to whether this works or not? And usually once you build that prototype and test it, you think of things that can be improved upon it. So that create, test, and improve ends up being a mini circle within itself, that once you build it and you test it, you think of ways to improve it, and then you go back and refine that prototype and work on it again. So again, it's a cyclical pattern for both of these. especially in that engineering process. You can continue refining the product that you developed or that solution that you've been working on.